That'll be good. Okay, so let's start, because I think we'll do a little bit of an introduction. So if people are joining in the next few moments, that will be absolutely fine. So first of all, welcome to our webinar, Navigating Food Industry Pressures. And we're going to show you how Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central can help overcome some of those challenges. And really appreciate you taking the time this morning to join us. We've got a lot to show you, so I hope there's some benefit and some value to the time that you've got. My name's Liam Walton. I look after the sales and marketing team here at Techman, and I am joined by my colleague, Darren Neary. Darren heads up our new business sales within the food sector. So he's very experienced and been doing this for many years around ERP, going into lots of organizations, but been focusing on food predominantly with ourselves for about a decade now, something like that. So it's been a while. So we'll be the two people guiding you through today. We've got a couple of the Techman people on the call. So if we do have some questions that we need a bit of assistance with, we've got some backup as well. So what we're going to cover today is a brief introduction to Techman. We're then going to look at some of the industry challenges that the food sector faces and why we believe there's some unique challenges that you're facing. We'll then have a look at how Dynamics Food potentially can help with that. We believe it can. We believe we've got a lot of apps that we've written and built into Business Central and the core products as well, what it can do for your company and your business growth and help you achieve what you need to and overcome the goals the challenges that you're currently facing. And we'll look a little bit about why working with Techman and the actions going forward once this webinar has finished today. We will have Q&A. If there is a burning question during the demonstration, when Darren actually dives into the software to show you this in action, we don't mind. If you want to put maybe a hand up, I'll try and monitor that. But if there is a burning question, we can deal with it in the webinar, but we will have time at the end if there's something. But don't be scared to interact. We much prefer to know you're awake and firing a few questions at us as well. So there's two elements, I guess, whenever you're looking at doing any business application project and deploying something within the business. One is making sure you're on the right product, the right platform. We'll deal with that as we go into Business Central, but also the partner that you decide to implement with and build a relationship with. So you want to make sure that partner is the right fit for you, the right fit for your industry sector, to not just deploy the project and get you up and running, but then to take you through from ongoing support, to have a plan for where the business is going and how the software can continue to help with your business. And that is even more relevant as we've moved into the subscription world, where you are getting these constant updates to the product, which we'll touch on in a moment. So we're going to explain to begin the webinar why Techman we feel is a fantastic fit for organizations in the food sector and why we're a little different from many other Business Central partners out there in the UK. So there's a few points on the slide here around why we are different. Let's just start with one of the beginnings. We're still privately owned. So we're still owned by the company or the people that started us 33 years ago now. So I've been there for 32 of those. So I can vouch for what we're trying to do. And what we believe is important about that is we can make the decisions we feel are right for our customers. And we've always had the ethos that if we're doing right for our customers, our business will succeed because of that. So we're privately owned. We don't have to answer to shareholders. We don't have to answer to outside investors. We make the decisions on what we want to do as a company. And we always try and focus for our customers to be the best out there. We are very, very focused, as you'll see on the second column there, around a particular industry. And that is anybody that manufactures or distributes something. And our biggest sub-vertical within that is food. As I said, Darren's been with us for 10 years. We were doing food before he came in as well. So around about 15 years, we've been working with the food sector, with the Dynamics product. It's changed names over that period of time. We know it as Business Central now, but we have a lot of credibility around that. And we also, the rest of our business, we only work with organizations that make, store, and distribute a product. Okay, so our underlying technology expertise is all around that. And we're going to show you today how we've built on that again for the food sector. And the final thing I'll mention, there's a few other points on the screen, but you can all read the slides, is that we are incredibly passionate about educating our end users, our customers. As I said, this is a subscription model now where you're paying every month for this. The product is constantly evolving. And we want you to be aware of what's happening with the product so you can take advantage of it, you can plan for that. You know, we will try and advise you, well, actually, you might want some changes and some configuration. that's coming in the next few months out of the box. Don't waste your money on having something built for you specifically. So we want to do that. We do a lot of free events like this for our customers. We have customer days, all free. We have a podcast that goes out every 6 weeks around what's going on with the software. And so we have very close relationships with Microsoft, and we want to share that information and help you get the most out of the investment you've made in the Dynamics product. So that's a key area where we think that we are different to the majority of other partners out there. And in terms of our scale and our scope and our reach, we've been going, as I said, for 33 years now. You can see there that we grew out of the Midlands in the UK. We're still based, I'm still sitting in an office in Wolverhampton now, but we're proud to, we've had UK coverage for a long time, but I'm proud to say that we now also have offices in Hamburg in Germany, and also very recently we've opened up in Ireland as well. So we're pleased to see that growth continue. We know it's important to our customers that we have local representation in those regions, and we do that. So we've got boots on the ground in all of those areas, not just within new business, but also with delivery as well. So we take that seriously. And you can see the numbers on the screen, over 8,000 projects, and we've got 400 customers that we work with on a very regular basis. So that's a little bit about TechMan, but what about the product? And the benefit of what we're going to show you today is that one of the vendor for this product, Business Central, is Microsoft. And of course, they're not just writing an ERP solution. They have a huge stack of products. I'm sure all of you are aware of them, so we're not going to list through those. We're all joined via Teams this morning. But the little graphic that we've designed on there really shows you why data is the most critical thing we will show and talk about today. The products can be absolutely fantastic, but if your data is not, then you will not get the results you want, whether that's from reporting, whether it's what's on your screen. The classic example of the phone rings to the salesperson in your organization is asked for something. They put the customer on hold, they check with someone in the production or in the warehouse or wherever it may be, and then they walk down because they don't believe what's on the screen. We want to remove that. We want to make sure your data is accurate, trustworthy, and that will make you more efficient. And with the Microsoft being the vendor for Business Central, we see that data flowing, as you can see, across the graphic. So we've got Business Central on the one side, which is going to be our finance, our manufacturing, our distribution, and that data is going to be stored within Business Central, but we can flow it into things such as Teams. We can share stock items, we can share information about a customer within a Teams channel, within a chat, without having to jump into Business Central for that other colleague in the business. So we can start to share that, but the data itself lives within BC. We can push it into Excel to maybe manipulate the data, to analyze the data. We can also push that data back in. So again, we're retaining the single version of the truth, and so it will flow through. And then we have the Power Platform. If you've seen this over the last probably 6 or 7 years, Microsoft have really developed some low code, as they call it, solutions. But this gives us the ability to use something like Power BI to do visualizations for our reporting, Power Automate to build workflows, Power Pages, portals and websites, where we can allow that information to be accessed by our suppliers, by our customers. Then we have Power Apps. And that is, typically when we're taking a mobile phone out and we again want to extend the reach of Business Central into a mobile device, we can have people in the field that want to store information on a Power App, and then it's going to feed back into Business Central over time and when they get back online. We actually do that for quite a few of our food customers. We have one where I think some of their organization go and check on poultry and where the poultry is. They're out obviously in various regions. They don't want to take a laptop, but they can easily take a tablet. They can rate the conditions, they can rate the quality and what they're seeing there, and that will all go back into Business Central as soon as they come online. So Power Apps is quite a cheap and easy way to extend the reach of the business applications into your users. And of course, all of this is based on the Microsoft cloud platform of Azure. So the product we're going to show you today is completely SaaS. It's completely in the cloud. And so you don't have to worry about having hardware and installed on-prem. It's all accessible via your browser, on any device, tablet, phone. It's not only on a Windows device. It'll work on a Mac, it'll work on an iPad, it'll work on Android. So all of those things allow us again to access the data whenever we are, whenever we need to access it. And it's all based on obviously the very secure Azure cloud system that Microsoft has. So you don't have to worry about any of that. But as we talked about our industry specialization, our industry expertise, The food sector itself is definitely, I think, in quite a unique position in terms of the different challenges that are coming from all angles. I think every business out there at the moment would look at those top two that we've got on that pyramid and say, yeah, I'm struggling with cost inflation. Everything is increasing. Labor shortage, again, we know that's been a challenge for a lot of companies. I can't get the right labor into the business. And so even when we have the demand, we're struggling to satisfy it. But then as we go down that pyramid, we start to see challenges for the food sector that are very unique. Not as many organizations, other organizations we work with, have the amount of compliance, legislation, sustainability laws that are coming in that the food industry have to deal with. Most of them do not have that, or only in a very small amount. You guys have this coming at you from all angles, and we know the challenges that you face from that. And underlying, and we'll talk at these in a little bit more detail in a second, but we also have that the customer trends can impact your market massively. Very, very quickly, you can see a change and a shift in what the end users are demanding, and you have to react quickly. So the food sector is, we believe, very unique. And just to take something like rising costs and price pressures, as I said, every business is no doubt saying, look, our costs are going up. Our suppliers are constantly squeezing us. This has got to go up. If you're buying produce, this for a fact. So that is a challenge. But you're also getting it from the other side with the power that those big retailers have, who you are typically supplying. We know that their power and their control means that you are being squeezed from that side as well. You have to keep prices at a level to keep that contract with those bigger retailers. And yet you're getting squeezed the other side because your costs are going up. So that's a difficult position for you. And you get challenged with packaging costs, and that you get challenged with energy costs that are incredibly unpredictable with the world that we live in today. So there's a bit of a perfect storm coming when it comes to cost and price pressure for the food sector. We're aware of that. We work with these companies all the time. We're fully doing our best to see what the system can do to shave these little savings for you that will impact over time or over volume. So that's important. And of course, you get regulatory compliance that most of the companies do not. We won't touch on all of these, but the area around Natasha's law, Darren's going to show some of that today, how we can help with your labeling and to make sure that information is correct and the damage that can have if that isn't right, obviously, on real life, not just on business, but of course on that. So that's imperative that we get this correct. Sustainability and waste continues to be pressed by government and legislation that is forced upon the food sector. So again, how that needs to be handled and how a business system can help you. We've obviously got some stuff around exporting as well, but we'll leave that on the slide for the moment. And again, you typically, from a food manufacturing food distributor, you have a shelf life problem. You can't just leave it in a warehouse or in a distribution unit for a period of time, and we'll get to that bit when we get to it. You need to manage that. We need to know what's got to get out the door first, and the longevity of our product is important to us for lots of reasons. And we know there's a lot of compliance coming around waste as well, and we can't just throw things away. So we need to make sure that waste and write-offs from a business perspective is minimalized, and how can the system help us do that and deal with those complex supply chains that we're all part of somewhere in that chain. So again, these are the challenges that we work with on a daily basis with food customers, and we're fully aware that you are facing. And I guess the last one of these as well is what our consumers expect. Now, there's a whole bunch of study that we do for all our customers around expectations of our customers, whether that's the end user, as in the consumer of your product, or the retailers that you're working with. But they demand more from a technology point of view, whether that's portals, whether that's access to that data on an easy and available time, night and day, but also the way that trends can change. That we have seen a big shift to ethical sourcing and humane animal treatment. And of course, the trends that we see in the food sector can swing very quickly. I think interesting stat there on that last box, that if there's a food safety issue with a brand, you can lose up to 51% of your market very quickly if people lose confidence in that. So that ability to trace and to track what's going on with your ingredient, where it's gone, what batches have been affected, is critical from a safety perspective, but also from your brand and your business going forward. All of these things, we believe we have some help and assistance for you with the products that we're going to show. I won't go through sustainability. We know it's important to you, so you know these facts. The stats are there. It is continuing to be an important request from government and from consumers as they demand that we get better at sustainability. So, how can you begin to navigate these challenges? And as I said, data is critical. We will touch on that a lot. The markets are changing quite heavily, and we'll touch on what Microsoft are bringing to that. But we believe our expertise, and coupled with the product that we have in front of us from Microsoft, many of these challenges can be overcome, or at least we can help you to overcome them. Let's stress right from the beginning, software and technology will not be a silver bullet that solves everything. We have to work with people, we have to work with your processes, and then we have to work with the product as well. So all of those things need to change. I'm not a big fan of using the digital transformation slogan because it's been around for so long, and I think a lot of people are just fed up of hearing it. But it's not. It's a business transformation that we're talking about here. And technology plays a part of that, a big part, but it will not succeed on its own. We need, buy-in from the sponsors of this, buy-in from the end users in your company to make sure that they understand where we're going and the benefits to that. But we've had a lot of success, and we've got on the screen a few of the customers that we work with. So these just aren't food organizations that use Business Central. These are our customers that use Business Central, and we work with them. They're current customers, just a few of them, but we've picked some, I guess, that many will recognize the logos on the slide there. And we have some small organizations and we have some large ones. We have some very rapidly growing companies. We've seen that in the like protein bars and organizations that have grown quickly before being acquired by bigger groups. But it's a great product that will scale, and it shows the depth and the ability of the product to work with a handful of users and going into hundreds of users. This product will grow. You're not going to turn around in a few years after some great growth and say, we've outgrown the product. It will go with you. And that's not just from a performance issue, with functionality as well. It's on a cloud platform, so it will scale as you scale. You're not going to have to pay more apart from your end user licensing as you do a per user per month subscription. But hopefully some of those customers you can see on there, you'll recognize, and I hope it shows our credibility that we are still working with these organizations. Some we've deployed initially, some have moved across to us because they're unhappy with their current partner, didn't feel they understood the food sector. And so they have come across, and we support them on a day-to-day basis. We'll touch at the end of the presentation around what we bring in terms of our ongoing relationship with our customers. So Dynamics Food, what we're going to show you today. Dynamics Food is a marketing term that we've come up with. The product that is built on is Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. I know it's a mouthful, and Microsoft have a wonderful habit of changing the name every few years, which is frustrating, but it's a Microsoft product. We have been involved with it before it was owned by Microsoft. It was a product called Navision in Denmark, but Microsoft bought it around about the end of the 90s, and it's just gone from strength to strength, and it's become a core part of their offering for the business application side of their business. And we have built on that core product. It is a global product. It is in nearly every region of the world, apart from the areas like North Korea where Microsoft don't work with. But everywhere else it is available. And it's becoming available on the SaaS platform in more and more regions every single quarter. They are launching more. There's not many places now where it's not available in the cloud. And what we have done, because it's a global product, and this is with Microsoft's advice and guidance over the period we work with them, is they know they cannot write a product that will fit for every industry, that will fit for every localization and region. And so they want local partners to do certain things for the local tax laws, but also they want industry specialists to build additional functionality on top of the product. Now, you won't know it's on top of the product, as we'll show in the demo. It's completely seamless when you are in Business Central, but they want us to add that 15, 20% of unique functionality that each industry requires. So yes, we have a level of functionality that will handle the majority of business challenges, but we have added the last little bit and added onto that to make it right for the food sector. And you can see a few areas that we've listed on the slide there, and we will go through and demo those today. And giving you a little bit more information around what that looks like. We know that nobody ever wakes up in the morning and thinks, you know what, I'm going to go and buy some ERP software. It's not a nice or sexy thing to go and buy. So all of you have joined the webinar today, and I said thank you for doing that. But there will be a trigger point that our email, our invite made you think, you know what, I'll give up an hour and a half of my day to sit through that. Somewhere down that line, maybe some of the challenges we've started by stressing at the beginning, maybe something else that we haven't, but there'll be a trigger point where you feel that you need to do something different in your business. Now, that could be a benefit, a positive. You're growing quickly. You feel like you're losing a little bit of control. We need to be better. We need to have better structures in place to allow us to grow. It can be a negative that we've lost a contract, we've failed, we've had an issue with traceability or whatever it might be. But if we don't cover it today, please continue the conversation with us or asking the questions how we can help with that, because we want to show as much as we can, but over a cost of an hour, over the course of an hour and a half, we can only show so much, but hopefully we'll cover a lot. But what you see in the middle of that graphic is Dynamics will sit at the center of everything we're going to show you today. Now, on the one side, as you go into the gray area, you've got on the right-hand side, you've got manufacturing, finance, and distribution. That's what we're going to focus on today, and that is the Business Central side, the ERP side. We also have the CRM side, where you've got customer service, sales, and marketing. We're not touching that today, but that, again, is the two products will work together, and we can pass data back and forward as needed. But what we have added is around that green area of the wheel. So you'll see on there, we have an EDI solution. We know how important that is. We manage that. We support that. We control it all for you and take full responsibility for it. So we're working with all the supermarkets. We'll list the supermarkets and all the vendors that we work with currently on our EDI platform. We have the ability to do traceability. We have the ability to do ingredient and recipe management. All those things we know that the food industry need. Now, you might not need all of them. That's fine. You can pick a mix on this. We're not going to throw everything at you. But we've listed on the green areas the additional functionality that we've built on the core product and improved what they have done to make it relevant to you. And wrapped around that, we obviously have reporting, integration with the Microsoft suite that we've already touched on, and extending out via the Power Platform. And of course, the new thing that I'm sure you're fed up of hearing, even though it's only been around for about 18 months, is AI. And so we're not going to over egg that today. We're big believers in reality. AI will be absolutely vital to what's going on. Copilot, if you've seen Microsoft's offering, is in Business Central. And yes, you can use that natural language interface to ask it lots of questions and to generate some level of reporting at a basic point. But where I think Business Central really is unique when it comes to AI is what they're doing with agents. So I guess all of us have used something like ChatGPT. We've gone and it's almost like a natural language chatbot that's pulling information everywhere for us. Agent is slightly different. So an AI agent will have a role and a job to do. So it's just like we employ someone in our business to do a particular task. An agent will do that. We will show you today the first agent that Microsoft have shipped, which is the sales order agent. So it will have an interaction with one of your customers, natural language via email today, and we'll show how that email will come in. The system understands what they're asking for. It understands the language people are using. We'll go back and recommend something different if we don't have something in stock. And then that conversation will go on until it gets to a point where the system will generate an order. And then we have some human intervention to just look at that order, make sure it's gone through okay. But when you start thinking how that is going to help your business, when we talked about labor shortages and the repetition that we have to do sometimes, if that agent can do that interaction for 70% of what is coming in, that's going to save us a huge amount of time. And we just then will manage the agents and we will look at them and sanity check them before we place the order. So we'll show you that. That's where I think AI will work in an ERP solution way more than the way we're using things like ChatGPT for creating and coming up with new ideas. ERP is much more black and white. We need to know what we've got and where it's going. So that's important. We'll show you that today. They've also got the payables agent that's about to ship in October as well. So again, matching your vendor invoices to orders that you've got on your system. Okay, so sustainability, we've touched on. I'm not going to go through that, but we're going to talk about that. That's core to Microsoft products. So Microsoft have started to build sustainability into Business Central, absolutely baked in, which is great for us from working with the food sector, and we'll show how we extend out there. But Darren will touch on that for you a little bit. But wanted to show Microsoft's commitment to this. It's absolutely massive, and it's very, very important to them. Okay, so I think from me, we're not going to go through absolutely everything on the system. That would be impossible, but Darren's going to take over in a second and show you on the demo. I'll show you one more slide before I shut up, and that is from an EDI perspective. These are some of the retailers and suppliers and organizations that we've already got connections with. There's a few on there you'll notice with a very food specific background. We work with all the supermarkets, as you can imagine. And so our EDI is ready to roll, and that will just take those orders, and whatever's coming through, and you pushing back to them, we've got that network ready to go. I'm over time by about 3 or 4 minutes, so I'm going to shut up. But just to give you again some credibility to what we're doing, and I'm now going to hand over to Darren, and he will take you through the demo of the product. Darren, over to you.
Thanks, Liam. Okay, so just building off what Liam says there, we do support orders, invoices, credit notes, forecast, ASNs, all that kind of functionality via ADI as well. But I will share my screen now, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through the product for you and give you an overview. So, as Liam said, this is all part of Microsoft's portfolio of products there. So the journey with Business Central starts with Office. So Business Central just appears as another icon inside of Office, but because it's all part of part of Office and integrated into Office, you have seamless integration into things like Outlook. So when a customer email or a supplier email comes in from you, you can get the system to look at the emails. It will give you information about the customer on the left-hand side. You can go into it. So all the information is inside of Outlook, so you don't even have to leave Outlook to be able to get information about that customer if you don't want to. And again, you can click on any of these informations, go into the order. You can even pop the order out if you want to make it a little bit bigger. So again, the journey starts with Outlook because a lot of people live in Outlook, do their work inside Outlook. But this is also where the journey with AI starts, because what I can do, while that's loading there, I can click on my button here and say create a new sales order. So what happens is, and then this has been superseded by the new stuff, which I'm going to show in a second, but it starts a journey by it actually reads the email and it says, oh, I think the customer wants one of these. We have a look to the right-hand side there. That's the one he thinks he wants. Yep, that's okay. And the order will now be created, sent off to the customer, etc., all inside the system. So that's one way of working with the system. Again, I'm not even leaving Outlook. I'm doing all my job inside there. That has been superseded, as I said now, with the new agents that are coming out more and more. So on my screen in just a second, I'll just show you how the agents work. So we have a little agent here called the sales agent. And what that's sitting there, it's sitting there monitoring with a sales agent your email inbox or file directories inside the system. And basically when anything happens on there, so I've got an email here from Matt, I've got an incoming email from him, and it says, can I request a price and availability of some, what is it, kitten jigsaws. Again, this is just for our online demo system, so we use jigsaws and things like that, so we don't upset anyone's product portfolios. So say, can I have a price and availability for kitten jigsaw? And what's happened is the AI has read that email, and it's come back and it says, you have got this email here. Here's the prices for you. So it's just sent an email back to the customer saying that's what the prices are, and alternatively, you can also have this dog jigsaw. Okay. The customer then come back with another interaction and says, okay, can I order 5 of the kitten and we'll try a couple of the dog jigsaws? So it's quite natural language the way it's coming back, but the AI still understands it, and it's gone back to the customer, if I get the right one here, and says, here you go. Here's a quote for, I just clicked on the button and I got the wrong one there. Here's a quote for that particular item. The quote's been changed to an order in this instance, so the quote's been converted into an order. But you can see here with all these different reactions, because I think Matt later on comes down the line and says, actually, I've ordered that 5 items now, but I want to change my order after the order's been confirmed. So you sit down here, it says, can I cancel one of the items off the order? And the AI is dealing with all of these automatically. So it's a really quick and easy way of having interactions with your customer, all dealt with by the AI. So that's just a very quick overview of the AI inside the system. You also have the payables agent there. You've also got one for bank reconciliation. But the way these agents work is you can create a discrete bit of functionality, and then it will work within Business Central to manage that discrete bit of functionality. And this is going to be throughout the whole of the Microsoft portfolio of products. We can create agents ourselves very soon within Business Central. That's coming in the new version. And you can also create sub-agents, so an agent that works with other agents to actually do a bigger task. But anyway, that's a little bit about agents there. We also have, while I'm talking about AI, I'm going to just show you some other stuff we have. So if I look at things like posted sales invoices. So I've got a bit of data here. The reason I've done this one here is because I've got quite a bit of data in my posted sales invoices. So we also have AI in reporting. So if I wanted to, I've got a load of data here where it's got all my sales that I've done over the last however long there, and I can say, right, I want to start doing a bit of reporting on my my data. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to get the AI to create some pivot tables for me, for example. So I'm going to show me, so just type in here, show me sales by month by region. So get that, and the system now will generate me basically a pivot table that shows that data extrapolated into a different format. There we go. It's just building the data for me now. And there we go. I haven't got much data in there at the moment. It looks like a lot there. But you can see here, it's actually built all these pivot tables for me. June, July, August, etc., December. And where I've also got on the right-hand side, I can actually further home that if I wanted to by saying, actually, I want to go and drag in the bill to postcode onto there as well to have more information on there. But it's all depends upon what you want. I can also, if I wanted to, have a bit more information there. I could say group by week or something like that maybe. But again, the AI will basically build that new report for you. When you're happy with the report, you can just go on here and I want to save it. I'm going to give you a different name actually, Darren 1. So I've got a report there that's permanent for me on that system there. So I can go back in and at any point I've now got that report, or I can go back in and delete it. So that's how the AI is coming in on those areas reporting as well. And that's going to be more and more inside the product as we'll go through and have a look at in a bit. Going back to the actual product itself, just going to go to my main screen here. Business Central itself, it's an ERP system. It has all sorts of functionality from finance to sales, purchase, production, all sorts of things. I'm going to try and show you various key areas of that today. Again, I'm not going to go into any detail, but anyone has any questions, please feel free to message on Teams, and Liam will pick up those, and if it's important, he'll interrupt me and get me to actually show a specific bit of functionality for you. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to give you an overview of the solution now, starting right at the beginning on our dashboard. So when we log into Business Central, it's a role-tailored dashboard. And what it basically means is the role that you have within the business will determine what you can do, what you can see, and what you have access to. Okay, so I've logged in as a general business manager at the moment, so I can see things. I've got my sales, I've got my purchases, payments. So I've got quite a varied dashboard on my system of all the different things I can see and do within my system. I've even got my credit control activities here if I want to go in and have a look at any of the credit issues. I've also got some Power BI reports I wanted embedded on there. I've even got things like my warehouse screen here where I can actually see all sorts of information about my warehouse and manipulate it in more detail. So you can customize all of these to your heart's content. If I go in, click on the wrong button there and go in and personalize my screen, I can actually say, well, actually, I want to, let's get rid of that one for a start. I want to change this box here. I want to move that box there. So you can customize the screens to be appropriate for what you want to do and what you want to see within the system. You can also, if you wanted to, you can see here we've got things like purchase orders. I've got 23 purchase orders here. I can also add things like KPIs to my purchase orders. So if they're overdue, you can get them to change color to go red if they're overdue or anything like that within the system. I can also have maybe purchase orders for Tesco, purchase orders for particular suppliers on my screen. So if I'm looking after a particular subset of data, I can further home these what are called queues within the data on my system. And again, because this is a full SaaS system, I can also go and have a look at what my system would look like if I accessed it via a tablet maybe. So again, the system's accessible via tablet. We normally use things like tablets for the quality people when they're going out and taking photos of quality issues and doing quality checks out on the system. But I can also access it on my phone. So everything I'm showing you today can be run on any one of these devices if you so desire. So the only downside to running all this kind of stuff on a mobile phone is that the screen is a little bit small. As you can see here, you can't really see everything, but the functionality works. I can even run MRP, the planning Gantt, whatever I want to do, I can actually run on my mobile phone if I wanted to. So that gives you an idea so that, you know, even when you're sitting on the beach, you still can, unfortunately, do work, but you don't have to. Right, so key area of Business Central then is your item master. So I'm going to go into my items now and just show you some of the key area around items. So, before I start that, just remember a thing here. As Liam said, Business Central is an app, and it's extensible by lots and lots of functionality throughout the Microsoft App Store. So if I wanted to, I can go and have a look. If I can type it right, extension manager, I can see what apps I've got installed on my implementation of Business Central. So Business Central itself is an app, and then you can extend extend the system with other pieces of functionality as your business evolves, as your business grows, and as you adopt new features and functionality. So I can go on there and go and have a look on the App Store gallery and go and say, well, actually, I'm planning on doing some advanced planning and scheduling, so I can go and have a look at that. Or maybe I want to integrate to my bank and I want to use a different app. So you can see there's loads and loads of different apps for doing all sorts of functionality within there. I think there's about 3,500 on there, may even be more now. Liam may know an updated figure. But to install these apps, literally all we have to do is click on the link, go through, click on there and install that app. Okay, if you don't want it anymore, you just go on and uninstall it. So any of these apps I've got on my machine here, I could uninstall it. Now, these apps are seamless to the end user. So the end user will not know that there's any apps installed on my computer that isn't part of Business Central. So you can see here, we've got things from Clever Dynamics, which is our sister company, and we've got things like Clever Credit, Clever Config, Clever Attributes, and Clever Quality installed. But as I'm going through and showing you the system, you won't be able to tell that it's not part of the core system. It is just standard Business Central as far as the user is concerned. So that's apps, now we extend it. So what we've done, we've created lots of these apps to extend the functionality of Business Central to make it more applicable to the food industry. So let's show you how that works. So I'm on my item master here. This is probably the most important part of the system here. I'm going to show you some areas how this works. But finding information inside Business Central, we've got things like views here on the left-hand side. Filters mean we've got different ways of viewing the data. We can view them as tall tiles, we can view them later as lists. It's down to personal preference how you view them. Personally, I like the little mini tiles for viewing my data. I can create the filters here to actually say, well, actually, I want to filter by, I'm going to create a filter here by description, which has got the word ASDA in there. ASDA. So anywhere where the word ASDA is in there, I want that to come up. So we can see different subsets of data. If I wanted to, now I can save that away as ASDA items. Oops, if I can spell correctly. And that is now my personal list of ASDA items within the system. And I can go back to that, so I can look at suites, I can look at other items, or I can go look at my ASDA items inside the system at any point, or go back to my all view. Okay, so this is just how you create data, filter data. So that works on every single screen you have within Business Central, and it makes your life so much easier for being able to filter by purchase orders due in 2 days' time or anything like that, because we can actually have these filters and have dynamic data in as well. But again, I'm not going to cover any more of that at the moment. Also, what we've got further integration here into Excel. So I can now open my data in Excel, view my data, report on it, play with it, send it to someone, say, here, have a look at this, this is all the data. It's up to you how you want to deal with that, but you can see I've got the data there in Excel. I'm just going to close that down. I can also send that data to edit it in Excel. So if I wanted to, I can open that up in Excel now and do a mass update of maybe change the supplier. I'm going to replace that on there because I've already had this out on my computer. Maybe change some of the key data, but what I'm going to do, just to give you an example how it works, I'm just going to change one of my items here, if it comes up in a second. So what it does, it basically logs you in on Excel into Business Central. So on the right-hand side, it's going to log me in to Business Central. So I can only, in Excel now, see and manipulate data where I have security privileges for doing that. It won't let me do anything that I don't have access to, but equally, when I publish that data back in a second, so if I change my as the scorching masala for 2 main, if I change that to be, again, this is not something you'd normally do, Darren. When I publish this data, it goes for all the standard functionality or the APIs of Business Central, so you can't publish data that is not compatible. So, for example, I can't change a unit of measure to be in someone that's not in the system. I can't change a supplier that doesn't exist. I can't have a country code that doesn't exist. So it would fail on any of those if I tried to do that. But I publish that data back in the system. If I now do a refresh of my data, we should see my Asda buttery chicken masala should now be called Darren. There you go. So it's nice and easy way of changing your data. So the old days where you got to go in and change data and stuff have just gone there. And equally, I could just click through my list of my data on the right-hand side by just clicking the buttons there as well if I wanted to. So as I said, your item master is your key area in the system for manipulating data. This is where it's the most important area of the system. We've got some AI in here where it's giving me a bit of information about the item. We've got pictures, we've got text in hot side here, comments, item attributes, all this kind of functionality is all within the system as well. I also have a drag and drop window up here, which is actually an app that's installed, which allows me to drag and drop and attach maybe product specifications. If it was a purchase order, I could attach a copy of the purchase order or the email where the purchase order came in or anything like that. And what that basically means is it's keeping all the data in one place for everything, so you don't have to go off and have different systems for managing your data and different things. So again, also because I have that data in here, if I send off anything to a customer, maybe I could send off a product specification attached to an order or a purchase order with a product spec saying, can I have this product and here's a specification I want, and the system could automatically attach that to it because it's linked to the item inside the system. Other things that quite important there, so we have our item master here, which has all our key data, so our key information about the base units of measure, what stock we have in system, and again, all of these are interactive buttons. So if I click on here, we can drill in straight away into my production orders that are going to make this order. I can go and further drill into the production order itself. So again, if you have access, you can drill from anywhere to anywhere to see all the different data inside your system. While that's coming up on my screen, we can also view stock at any point within the system. So you can see what goods are coming in, what goods are due in different days. And why has my computer gone slow all of a sudden? It's always the way, isn't it, when you go on a demo? Your computer just decides to go slow. This is on a Microsoft Sandbox system. Our demo systems are all on Microsoft Sandbox systems, and it always seems to run a bit slow whenever I'm doing a demo at this point. So while that's doing that, I'm going to just call up another window and do the same again. A great thing about Business Central is licensing is all done by user, so I can have as many different windows to Business Central open as I want to without taking up any additional licenses. So that's quite a nice thing as well. So you'd normally have 2 or 3 different windows open on your screen. I'm just going to move this box out of the way as well. My computer's decided to stop working. Okay, that's not good. While that's whirring away, I'm going to go into, here's a demo. I've got another system. I've got my item master here and there. This is our jigsaw system. But what I wanted to show you, or what I was about to show you, is that we have integration in Business Central into other systems as well. So with what Liam mentioned earlier about Natasha's law, we can manage the whole of that process within Business Central to make sure your labels, your allergens, and everything is all complied with within legislation within the system. So here's one I've got from one of our customers that's just done this now. I'm just going to show you a video of how that works. So this is a product called Eridus, or I don't even know how you pronounce that there, but basically it's keeping all the master ingredients within the system. So you sit all this information up in their cloud that manages all the allergens, the color coordination, the fat, all that kind of information. When I'm happy then that I've got all that information and it's all correct, I can go into my Business Central system. I use my item number, so I'll copy my item number from the Eridus system. I'll go up my BC system and then paste the item number into there. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to suck the information out of Eridus into my system here. So all my information now from Eridus, my fat content, my allergens, my images, everything is now within my system. So if you go down my screen now, you can also see that I've got all my allergens are all listed inside there. And also my labels, when I'm printing labels from Business Central, will have all the correct information inside there as well. So that's a really nice way of actually doing that within the system. That's what I was going to show you on that one. So hopefully my computer system has come back now. Yay. That one has as well. So going back to that then, so that's important information to keep there. So you can see on the right-hand side of the system here, we can keep all of our information about allergens, saturated sugars, everything can all be from there. And those can be used within the system for doing labels, doing your production planning to minimize changeovers and clean downs and all that kind of functionality. It can also be done as part of your quality checks as well. So you can do a quality check that says, well, it's got this, I want to do this extra check, etc., all within the system. So other information that's important here as well, costing information. So 2 important bits that we want to get out of today is one to show you how the costing works in Business Central, and the second one to show you how the traceability for food works within Business Central. So I'll try and cover those now. So as I'm going down throughout my product, I have different costing methods that I can use within the system. So I can either standard cost, actual cost, FIFO, average, wherever it may be that's applicable for you. Each individual item can have a different costing method as well. So your ingredients may be at FIFO, but your produced items, so if we're making this as a ready meal, that may be at standard cost. So we can amortize the cost of that over 1,000 cases of product or something like that, for example. We'll have our cost in here, so we can see our base cost is in there. We also have our prices, what we're charging out at that point as well. We then have all the different prices we have to different customers. So we can have different customers, can have different prices for different quantities and different units of measure. So, for example, we may be making packs of this chicken curry, but we can sell it only in cases to some customers and pallets to other customers. And you can have different prices for different pallet rates, case rates, etc., or even layers if you wanted to sell by layers inside the system as well. When I need more of these items, so when I'm out of stock or when I'm low on stock, we have a replenishment system. And replenishment in this particular instance is saying, I am going to make a production order for these products. It could be, if it's the ingredients, it would be a purchase order. If it's simple products, so some of you may not need to use the full production within the system, we have assembly management, which is a cut down version of production, which just has an assembly bill of material and an overhead for how long it's going to take you to make that item. So you can say it's going to take me 1 hour of Darren's time and I'll charge me at £15 an hour, for example. You don't have capacity planning or alternative routes or alternative bombs or anything like that with assembly management. It's quite a flat way of doing it, but the advantage to that is, one, it's simpler implementation, and it's also using the cheaper license from Business Central, which is around 50 odd pounds rather than the premium license. In this particular instance, I'm going to make these using a production bill of material within the system. So you can see here, I've got a production bill of material to make my buttery chicken tikka masala. And you can see here that I've got these different ingredients I'm going to use there. So we'll see there that the chicken tikka masala is actually a sauce for an item that has got a sub-assembly itself. So it's a sub-assembly that I can double-click on and drill into that particular sauce if I wanted to. Well, I've changed that one there. So I can go into that one and see what that one is. And if I wanted to as well, I could go down and drill into what that bill of material was as well. Again, all sorts of different things inside there. And I can actually show the multi-level version. I'll go back to the multi-level one. So you can have sub-assemblies. So you could say, right, we're going to go and make a big batch of chicken or masala sauce, not chicken tikka masala sauce, that's going to be then used in multiple products, whether that's for particular, we're going to have a lamb tikka masala or a chicken tikka masala or anything else. Or it's maybe making a general batch of product that we're then going to put into different packages for Tesco, for Asda, for Morrison's, wherever it may be. So all sorts of different ways of doing that. But the bill of material itself is saying what materials I'm going to use, how much of that material I'm going to use, in what units of measure, because obviously if you're using grams or milligrams, you don't want to be buying everything in kilograms and then saying I want 0.00001 kilogram of that product on there. So obviously the right unit of measure for the right kind of material. We could also say we have different scrap percentages. So we can say whenever I'm doing this tomato puree, I'm always going to lose one of that to scrap. You could have things like fixed scrap, so you always lose so much in the pipe work, and you say every time you make this product, we're always going to lose, I don't know, 2 grams or 2% in the pipes because you can never clean out the pipes or anything like that. But all of these things here, like scrap, the raw materials that you're going to use, and the different percentages are all going to be used for the costing of your product. Okay, we can also have different versions of the bomb. So as we go through the kind of food fashion where you're going to add less salt in the product, less sugar, different ingredients maybe, the system can actually track where those different versions are, how that version's changed, what you're going to be doing with those different versions. You can go back to previous versions as well if you wanted to. So I haven't got any versions on this one. I've got one I created earlier for a different version. But those different versions of the product can be rolled back to as well, so you can keep a full audit trail of what you're doing on those different versions of the product. And I go back to my core root product there. If I show you the multi-level version of that one there, you can see that the production order of this product here is taking some of that chicken tikka masala with all those ingredients, adding it to some chicken breast, a tray, some heat kill, some sleeve, etc., to make the finished product. I may also then have a different product at the top level, which says actually, I'm not going to put a tray or a film around this one here. I'm going to put chicken tikka masala into a box, and then I'm going to put an Aldi tray on it or a Tesco tray on it or wherever it may be as a separate sub-assembly or even an assembly on there to make a final product. Hopefully everyone's still with me and they understand how that works. So that's the material cost when you're doing a production order. We then have the routing, which is actually the labor elements and the machine runtime elements of this particular product. Again, I've got a simple one here where basically we're going to pour and pack this into the individual trays. So it's going to take me 60 minutes to actually so the setup time is per production order and the run time is per unit of measure. Okay, so it's taking me 60 minutes to actually set up the production order, maybe a cooking time or wherever it may be, and then it's going to take me 15.15 minutes to do every single tray that's going to go on there. We got things like wait time, move time, scrap quantities, concurrent capacity. So if you've got multiple machines or multiple pour heads, we can do this at the same time. We've also got things like sender head quantity. So what this is all doing is giving you lots of flexibility on how you plan the production going through your factory. And again, at the moment, this is being done in serial, but we could do things in parallel. So if you've got a machine where it's all happening all at the same time, you can actually have it all running in parallel as well if you want to. So it's all about getting the costing out of your system. So underneath each of these particular machines, for example, if I go and have a look at this machine here and drill in and see some of the details, we can see we have a unit cost of how long it takes to run this machine. So it may be the cost of the electricity or the gas if it's an oven, per minute, per hour that you're on. And again, all of those costings can be rolled up then into a production order. So every minute this production order is running, it will take some of that cost and put it into the finished goods. You've also got things like alternative route. So if this machine breaks down, we can use this route, and this machine is slightly slower. It's cost a little bit more to do it. So you can have all of those kind of functionality. And when I show you the production planning Gantt a little bit later, you can see how that works as well. But it also manages our capacity here. So capacity planning is quite an important part of production here to know, well, how much can we get through in a day? Do we need to run an overtime shift? Do we need to do 2 shifts a day, 3 shifts a day? And the system will actually show you all the information you have on your requirements and how much capacity you need to be able to produce the items that are coming in on the orders. Again, not going into it in massive detail amount. The aim for today is just to give you a bit of a flavour to see if it's the right kind of product for what your business needs. Other kind of aspects then, so that's all our production now. One thing that I'm going to show you now, which is related to that then, is I can drill into my production there and actually view everything all in one go. Inside the system, or I can go and have a look at how that costing is rolling up. So if I go to my bill of material here and go and have a look at my cost share, because I now have a bill of material and I now have some routing, the system's able to work out, well, how much is this going to cost me? So all these are all the different components, and right at the bottom you can see here the machine runtime that's going to be used, how much time it's going to be used, and you'll see it's rolling up, and all the way to the end there. Well, if I move this thing out of the way, I don't know if you guys can see this. You can see there, it's working out that this is costing me £1.64 for every tray of this buttery chicken tikka masala. So again, it's roll up the cost by the individual components used. As your components, your purchase orders change or the cost goes up and stuff like that, you can actually do a recalculation and the system will work out what the new cost is going to be. So that's a really nice feature inside the system for actually working out your costs. You can have multiple versions of the BOM as well, so you can say, well, we're not going to talk about the MPD aspects today, but we do have the ability to do MPD as well, where if you're doing a process where you're going to try and work out what it costs you to make a new product there, the system can be used for actually calculating those costs for you. And we could also have we use Dynamic CRM to do the old MPD process again, but that's out of scope for today. Planning policy. Important part. So when you need more of these, how does the system work that out? So the system's going to create a production order for this, but how is it going to do that? So in this instance, it's going to do order for order. So every time ASDA orders some cases of this product, it's going to create a production order to do it. Purely because this is such a short shelf life product, we need to do that. It could be lot for lot. So ASDA order 100. I've got 50 in stock. So the system says I need to order another 50 because I've only got 50 in stock. It will then look at all the order modifiers to say, actually, I never order less or never make less than 1,000 at a time. So even though I only need 50, the system's going to suggest I make 1,000, well, 1,000 of those products inside the system. Fixed order quantity is exactly what it says on the tin. Whenever an order comes in, even if it's for one, I'm going to order or make 1,000. So all these different kind of multipliers are switched on based upon the different methods of reorder policy that we have there. You can see it all switches on to different things. I'm going to keep this at order at the moment. It makes it nice and simple. We also then have things like critical stock, safety lead times, min stocks, all sorts of other things inside the system. Important part of the system, so this leads into my next one, is order tracking or item tracking. This is where we have the traceability within the system to the kind of food standards you need for your BRC inspections and things like that. So what this will do, you can have at the individual component level what you're going to be tracking. So, for example, in the food industry, you'll track lot numbers on all your raw materials that are coming in. Anything that's going to touch the food will be lot tracked. So we'll have film, our labels, our trays and everything will all be lot tracked. So we can set up the lot tracking within the system. We can go to serial level tracking if we need to, but that's not needed in the industry we're in there. And what also happens here is the system will automatically have a default expiry date whenever I make a new one of these products. So it automatically gets 1 week's worth of shelf life whenever I make one of these products. And when I'm going to show you customers in a second, we can see that each individual customer can have a minimum shelf life on shipment or receipt that you can actually get the system to manage for you as well. But this leads us in nicely then into lot tracking. So I'm just going to do lot tracking. I'm just going to pull up that one there, or item tracing. What this does, it gives us the ability now to actually track forwards and backwards every lot that's come into the system, where it's been used, where it's gone, etc. inside the system. So if I go and have a look at my buttering masala, so I haven't got a lot number in this particular instance, but normally BRC would give you a lot number, say, can you trace this and tell me everything that's happened to this? But I'm just going to go and look at as the buttery chicken. I said buttery, I'll go that one there. I'm going to do a trace now to show me everywhere that product has been shipped. So you can see here I've got some shelf shipments inside here with different lots going in. But any one of these ingredients that's gone into here now, I can actually sit on it and say, actually, what happened to that one? Where did that one go? So I can also then go onto there and do trace opposite. So that will tell me then, so I received in some vegetable oil, and then it went into these different production orders or these finished goods that went out of the system. So you can see then you've got full traceability, and that works on anything. I can also go and say, well, actually, what about the onion there? Trace opposite from there, and you can see the onion only went into that one particular lot. So you got the lot inside there, and if I wanted to, I'm going to have a look at that receipt within the system as well. Okay, you can see that one came in with lots of other goods on that same one. So the traceability within the system is absolutely perfect for the food industry. But with traceability, there is an overhead. And that's where we use barcodes to make our life easier. For example, every time you interact with an item, so I'm going to make a production order, I'm going to use some onion, I'm going to use some vegetable oil, I have to say which lot number of material has gone into that production order. So on the production floor, traditionally or typically people will have lots of paper and they'll just write the lot number on there. But what we can do, we can use barcodes on all the goods to actually make our life easier. So the goods arrive in, either your supplier, if you're very lucky, will have a barcode on there that's very nice for you, and it'll either be a standard barcode or multiple barcodes to have the item number, the lot number and the expiry date on it. Or if you're lucky, you'll have a GS128 barcode which has multiple bits of information in that one barcode. If your suppliers can't provide that, when you book the goods in, Business Central can actually produce labels for you that you can stick on the products that can actually do that for you. But what will happen then is as you're issuing those products to your production orders, you can scan that barcode and then say that is the product that's gone on there. If you're a little bit more advanced as well, you've got some relatively new scale, say 10, 15 years old, you can press a button in our shop floor data capture screens to actually weigh that amount of material that's been issued to that production order as well. So you click a button to say that's the weight, scan the barcode to say that's the lot number, and that traceability element then follows through those goods that come into the system. We've also got lots of other functionality there where you can do split batching. So when you open some vegetable oil, it gets a different shelf life to if it's sealed, so you can have a sublot then which has got a different expiry date. The system knows what's open, what's not open, and MRP then can also then start using the expiry dates to say, actually, if you're going to make that product there, by the time you make it, your materials have expired, so you need to buy some new raw materials because they're not going to be good enough by the time you actually make that production order. So all that kind of functionality is within the system as well if we want to. Lots of other stuff we can do in the system as well for managing stuff in the warehouse. I'm not going to show you that. I'm going to go through and show you locations in a second for the warehouse management. Other things that are relevant here, so we talked about price and discounts. I'm going to show you that from a customer's point of view. Quality aspects here. This is quite a nice feature here that we can do all sorts of different quality checks throughout the system. So the quality is an app from Clever Clever Qualities, our sister company. But I can do, for example, I can create a new quality rule within the system. I'm just going to go through the wizard here to do it, to say this is an Asda. I'm going to do this is a Tesco rule. And I'm going to just say this is for an extra check we have to do for Tesco. It's going to be, and these are all the different points within a production order or a shipment or receipt or anytime you're interacting with a product when this quality check happens. For example, here I'm going to do production output. No, I'll do a warehouse shipment on there. And this one is going to be at a sales shipment. I'm going to do a new one, and I'm going to do all locations. So you can say from this factory I have to do it, from this location I don't. It's up to you how you do that. I'm just going to say from all locations. And the test I'm going to do is a vehicle check in this instance, or I can create a brand new one that says I'm going to do a Tesco check to make sure XXX is complied with. So before that material can be shipped out, and a positive release in there, this check has to be completed by the quality team. So as soon as you can create a production order and a pick, this quality check would pop up to say you need to do this before you can release that goods for shipment. Again, that's how these quality checks work within the system. So you can have as many different quality checks as you want to. I'm just going to do this every interval. Every single one, we're going to do that. Okay, and then that's done. So you can have as many quality checks as you want within the system. You can have quality checks for particular suppliers. You can have 1 in 5 quality checks, first receipt from a particular supplier, for example. All these can be built up, and then the quality team can actually manage those as they go through on their quality dashboard. As I said, they can use the tablet, like an Android tablet or something like that, and they can also use the camera on the back of the tablet to actually keep records of the quality checks that they've done and the outputs. So that's our items. We can also do lots of other things there, like we can do engineering change notes if we're going to do an up issue of the product. We can do non-conformances if we get non-conformances, and all that kind of stuff is all within the product as well. What I'm going to do now, I'm just going to very quickly go to sales, and I'm going to create a sales order. And while I'm doing the sales order here, I'm going to show you what we can do to customer specific level as well. So I'm going to do a new sales order here. And the great thing about Business Central as well is the look and feel is the same throughout the whole of the product. So when you know how to put a sales order on, you know how to put a quote on, you know how to put a production order on, you know how to put a purchase order on. The look and feel and the use of the system is really the same throughout. So it's really easy to learn. Once you learn it, it's all fairly straightforward. I'm just going to choose Asda as my customer here, as the Walmart. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to have a quick flick to my Asda customer on the left-hand side now. So on my right-hand side of the screen, I've got all sorts of different fact boxes I've decided to have on my screen to give me extra information about this customer, some rules, wherever it may be. But I'm also just going to drill into the customer results. I'll show you a few things that are specific to Asda on my system here. So, for example, I can, if I wanted to, I can have prices and discounts. So I can say these are the prices for particular items for Asda. So, for example, here, for this item here, which is, I think that's the butter and masala, hopefully, if they buy 10 cases, they get it £12. If they buy 100 cases, they get £11.50. If they buy finished good number 2, which is probably, I don't know what that is, Vindaloo maybe, they can have that one at £12 if they buy 10 cases as well. If they buy the stem ginger, a case of that, they get those prices. So you can have different prices at different rates. We can also have different start dates and end dates. So gone away are the days where you have to stay in over New Year to actually put the prices in so they take effect from the new year or anything like that. You can have prices and they will take effect immediately that day comes in. It's the same with bills and materials as well. Everything has an effective date and the system will automatically say, well, this is the date, therefore these products are now effective on there. You can also have special discounts, special prices, one-off campaign-based prices. We can also do things like rebates, which is quite an important thing within the food industry. Have I got any rebates on my Asda system? I haven't got any rebates here at the moment. We can have rebates within the system as well if we want to keep a track of all those things that we have within there. We can also have my shelf life requirements. So if I go to my customer shelf life requirements, in this particular instance, they say on any time I ship the buttery masala, they have to have 5 days worth of shelf life on it when they get that product. What happens then if you're trying to ship a product which doesn't comply with that 5 days of shelf life? It won't let you ship it. You'll have to have a customer concession to be able to ship anything that's outside of those particular things. Again, these are rules that you can build in or not build in, or you can say it comes up with a warning to say it's within there. But everyone knows that people would probably ignore a warning that comes up on screen because they press OK too much. So it's best to just say, you can't ship that one, and you get a customer concession to actually ship it in that particular instance. But you can see the masala is 5 days, the vindaloo is 14 days, and the Chinese curry is 6 days. Again, each individual customer can have different shelf lives, and that same goes when I show you the vendors in a second. The vendors also have the same kind of functionality. When you're receiving goods from your vendors, you can say, I need this amount of shelf life on the product when I receive it in. Other things there, different, I mean, if not relevant to everyone, but we can have different document layouts for individual customers, for example. So if you're sending stuff to Tesco, you can have a Tesco layout. If you send it to Asda, you can have an Asda layout. They may require different certs or anything else there on their products and the forms that you send through to them. So you can have those within the system if you wanted to. Again, we've looked at the quality rules, so we can have different quality rules within the system if we want to. So we can have different quality rules for Tesco, Asda, wherever it may be. We can do non-conformities, customer non-conformities within the system as well. We can also have things such as inclusions. So if I go and have a look at my sales here, I can have things like sales inclusions and sales exclusions. So this is, I don't know if this has ever happened to anyone, where you've got a customer specific product. So it's an Asda curry, can only really be shipped to Asda, but someone accidentally ships it to Aldi. With these kind of exclusions, first of all, it can never appear on the sales line, and it won't allow you to ship different products that exclude different customers. So it stops you being able to ship the wrong product to the wrong customer, because then by the time you get it back, it's a scrapped product anyway, because the shelf life would have expired. But you can have all these different kind of things. So these are the only products this customer can have, and these products are definitely excluded from this customer. We could also have things like, which are quite useful again for repeat orders. So we can have, if I go into my sales, I can have recurring sales lines. So I can say, these are my weekly orders from this particular customer. So I can go and have a look at that one there. Let's go and have a look. Click in there, show my details. So my recurring order, I'll have 200 of those, 180,000, 240,000. And what that basically means is when I'm putting a sales order on, I can pull in the recurring order and it will automatically default that information there for me. Now, typically when you're dealing with Asda, you'll do EDI anyway, so it's not entirely relevant. But if you're dealing with distributors that don't have EDI, you can actually do that kind of functionality very quickly and easy for pulling in orders. So that's for the distributors amongst you. And then the last couple of things I'm just going to show you is we can have surcharges. Again, not applicable for everyone, but we do have surcharges within the system. We also have customer-specific labels. So within the system, we can create customer labels. So you can see different customer labels for different customers. Again, it's just each customer, each product combination can have a different label on the system if you want to. And we can also have customer comments. Again, this is where you can have particular comments that pop up on different documents within the system based upon rules. So, for example, if I go on my customer comments now, I can create a new customer comment that pops up every time a customer orders, but it appears on their warehouse picking document maybe. So whenever you're shipping out to this customer, can you always put it on Czech pallets or Euro pallets, or can you also double cling wrap this, or wherever it may be, restricted height on pallets and stuff like that. So you can also put, those comments will automatically appear on the handheld devices for the guys in the warehouse or anywhere else within the system. So if I just create a comment type here, we have all sorts of different comment types in the system. I haven't got any one at the moment, so I'm just going to do one. It's going to complain about me at the moment. I haven't got that ability to do that at the moment. I'm restricted. So I'll go back to that one just a little bit later if anyone's interested. So that's our customer card. Lots of information, lots of functionality we have there, but I'm just going to go back now and just create the sales order. So again, when I'm creating the sales order, I can just quickly go in here. I'm just going to type Asda, if I can spell, ASDA. Butter and masala, and again the system will default the price based on the quantity I have. So for example here, it should pop up on the right hand side of my screen here all the different items I have. So if I'm going to order, one of those, it will pop up the lowest price. But if I order 101, the price will change. Okay, so it's gone down to £11.50 per one. Again, that's a big difference between the one-off price, which is £190 and £80 for a case, versus the 110 price. Okay, so all the prices are coming there. On the right-hand side again, I've got all sorts of information about the availability of stock. We can see we haven't got enough in stock to that, so it'll create a production order immediately for this particular one, etc. Lots of other functionality we can build within the system. Again, I'm not going to cover all this at the moment, but it just gives you a rough idea. If I wanted to, I can put the PO number for the customer, but again, probably coming as EDI on this one. When I'm releasing this item, I'm now happy with this particular item. I'm going to order it. The system will then go through various different checks. And we're looking at the moment, it could put this customer on hold if the credit rating isn't there. So there's a product we have in there called Clever Credit, which will look at the creditability of the customer, whether they've got available credit, whether they're late payments and stuff like that. And all the rules will learn whether this customer gets held or not. And if it gets held, basically what that goes then, it goes off to the finance team who will actually ask the customer for a payment or say, yeah, on this exception, we'll let this order go through, or no, you can't have it until you've cleared your account, wherever it may be. So all that kind of advanced credit control is within the product as well. My order's on the system now. So what I'm going to do a planning worksheet. Have you had any questions, Liam? Because I am going quite fast again.
There's no questions yet, Darren, so we'll continue. That's fine.
Okay. So I'm going to go on a planning worksheet now. So the planning worksheet is basically going to help me work out what I've got to make and what materials I've got to buy in order to make the proper quantities. Now, you can do things like back-to-back. So as soon as you put a sales order on the system, it can create a production order and also the purchase orders for doing all the raw materials as well if you wanted to. So if it's a special order item, you can do that. In this particular instance, what I'm going to do, I'm going to calculate a regenerative plan, it's hard to say. I'm going to run my MPS, Master Production Schedule, and my MRP, Materials Requirements Planning, all in one. And I'm going to go to let's go to the end of November to see what I need to order. I can do things like filtering here on the items if I wanted to. And I can also use forecasts. We haven't really talked about forecasts, but I can create a forecast within the system to actually say, this is my forecast for the next 12 months. Go and create my material requirements based upon my expected plan, because most customers are working in the food industry will work for day one or day one for day three, for example. And so your raw materials already need to be there before you're taking your orders, because otherwise you're never going to have a chance of making it. So making sure your raw materials there, typically you use the forecast for doing that. And click OK, and the system's going to suggest what I need to buy and what I need to make in order to meet my requirements here with the customer. So hopefully it'll come up with some stuff. So this is MRP. You can run it as often as you want. Now, like I said earlier, you can actually run this even on a handheld phone if you wanted to give you an idea of what's going on. There's no restriction on the device you can use. So you can see here, we'll ignore the first column here. This is because I'm using demo data on one of the Microsoft Sandbox systems, so it's not a live system. So anything there is basically bad news, because it says basically you've got to work miracles to get this, because you should have ordered this in March. Okay, so we'll ignore that kind of thing at the moment because my demo data is not quite right. But you can see here, I've got things like action message new. So I'm going to create a new, in this instance, a production order. It's going to also suggest I'm going to change some quantities of production orders that are already there. And it's also going to suggest I do some new purchase orders. And because I have a default supplier or default vendor, so we have to use the American term, we have a default vendor for all of these particular items here. It will default to that particular vendor there. But I can just, if I've got alternative vendors, I can change it. And again, it may be based on rules, maybe based upon price, availability, etc., etc. If I wanted to, I can say carry out action message here. So if you didn't have this column tipped here, you would have all these action messages would all be standard within the system. It says ready to go. But I can just click all these action messages, and the system now will, if I click on home, carry out action messages, it will create a production order for every one of these ones where I said it's a production order, and it will create a purchase order for every one where it's a purchase order. Now, what we've also got in there, we've got assembly orders, so create an assembly order, and we've also got transfer orders. So if you've got multiple sites, you may be a push-pull kind of mechanism, moving your stock between one place and another. These are all available within the system. Again, very quickly, this is how the warehouse management systems works within Business Central. So you've got your goods coming in, so production output, purchase receipts, sales returns, or transfer receipts, all coming into the warehouse, either in a single put away straight into a location or into a multi-stage put away. So that will create a receipt that can then put into your bins and locations. You've got zones. got ability to do cross-dock, so if you need that raw material straight away onto the production environment, it will send it straight into there. And all this functionality is per location, so you can have as many locations within the system, whether that's a separate building, a separate geographical location where you've got to trunk it between one site and another, is all available within the system. And then the opposite side of that, you've got production consumption is going to take stuff out of stock, sales shipments are going to take it out, transfer shipments and returns are going to take it out of stock as well. And this is what the replenishment is going to do. It's going to replenish all of this information, all of these bits of pieces here within the system. Hopefully I haven't confused everyone here. So what I'm going to do now is everywhere where it's a production order, I'm going to say, go and make a firm plan production order and print it out for me. Or in this case, send it to the shop floor data capture screen. And anywhere a purchase order, I'm going to make the purchase order, send it out to my suppliers. Again, you don't have to do this. I could send this into a requisition worksheet, so that sends it to the buyer screen where the buyers are going to go out and source the product for me, get quotes on it, and then make a decision on where they're going to buy it from. I'm going to make my life easier. I'm just going to send that out straight away, click OK, and it's going to raise those documents for me. So what the system is going to do is going to create different production orders for me and different purchase orders for me.
Darren, just to interrupt there, quick question. Someone's popped up there in the chat. How much of the demo is core BC versus where we've added functionality?
So the only areas where we've added additional functionality so far is that drag and drop window I showed right at the beginning. The clever comments is an add-on. The expiry dates, the extended expiry dates, and additional traceability is stuff we've added on, and all the quality stuff so far is what we've added on. What I'm going to show you now is some I'll actually try and point that out. Sorry, I should have pointed that out as we go along. I'll try and point you out as we go along now, just so everyone's aware of what it is. So,
is that okay, Nick? Is that Nick who asked the question? Is that okay?
Well, Liam's getting a response from Nick because I'm conscious of time. I'm always too slow on this kind of stuff here. So what we've then got is we've got the production orders inside the system. We can then go and make the production orders. Now, what we've got to do, we've got to actually book the goods in that are coming in there. So if I look at my purchase orders that's just been created within the system, we'll see hopefully the last one there would have been one of the ones I've ordered. Okay, 23rd of September today, so that's one of the ones that's gone there. So see, these are all the raw materials. Now, I could book these goods in on the screen here, or I could use the warehouse handheld device. So again, handheld device, so screen here, standard Business Central. Handheld device, which is one I've got here, hopefully the screen here. This is how the handheld device works. Okay. I'm just going to basically show the handheld device. So this is what the handheld device looks like. It's a touch screen, a handheld ruggedized device that can do things like goods in, picking, put aways, receipts, stock takes. We can also do what's called containers. So container is basically where you've got a pallet. You're moving a pallet around all at the same time, and everything on that pallet, you've got 10 of them, 5 of them, half a dozen of them, all on a pallet, all at the same time. So this is the handheld software that you can use with barcodes throughout the whole system. I just wanted to quickly show you that, but I haven't got much time to show you it in detail. We do one of these webinars, which is aimed more at distributors, where I do show more of the handheld stuff. Again, if anyone's interested, you can look on our website as well. There's loads of these videos around that shows all this information. But it's all real time. As I'm entering data on the handheld device, Business Central is real time updated. But this is called clever WMS devices that we've enhanced. Now, going back to Business Central itself, if I can click my screen, all these goods in theory should come into us, but what we've got then is inside the system, we have got a drag and drop production planning Gantt that we work with this in conjunction with another company called Netronic. It's not called Netronic anymore, is it, Liam? It's called somewhere else.
It's called Boyum.
Boyum, that's it, yeah. So basically what this is a planning Gantt where all your production orders that come out of the system are put into a planning Gantt, and they go on to standby initially to say, right, I'm ready to be planned inside my system. You can see here all the different operations that we had there, how much time it's going to take up. And again, if I drill into the individual weeks, days, hours, we can see that how much time it's going to take up. And what you can do is basically have a view of these items. I can say, well, let me look at those by basically the production order. Let me look at them by the sales order view so I can see what the individual sales orders are, or I'm going to look at the capacity view. The capacity view is my favorite because I can see how much time these production orders are going to do. What I can do then is I can actually schedule all those jobs to say, schedule all those items there from standby and add them to production orders. I can also do things like schedule and use alternatives. So If you've got multiple machines that can make the same item, the system will schedule against the first machine first, then the second machine second for the second item. If they're all making the same item, they can all run the same one, just to try and make your capacity better inside there. And you also got things like you can fill idle times, so basically shuffle things around to fill idle times and stuff like that. But whenever we're clicking on items, we'll be able to see exactly that this item here is going to go from there down to there, etc. within there. All this kind of information, you've got little icons on there that will show you that this item's already late, as we can see, because it's like this is December 2024, this schedule here. But we can double click on any item and drill into Business Central immediately, and that will show us exactly what that item is. And any change we make in Business Central, when we come back to here, we can actually refresh the screen here. It might help if I actually click on it and refresh the screen there to actually get more information there. But again, all the information, line, materials, byproducts, all that kind of functionality is all available to us. Okay. So this is made by us and another company to do that. So it's all drag and drop. I can move them all around. And we can also do this, so we use a lot of color coordination. So we talked about the allergens earlier. So when we're doing the allergens inside the system, we have different colors for the allergens. So when we're doing the scheduling here, we can view the board by the different allergens to show you maybe the whatever allergen you want to look at, and show you just all those different colors. And then you can schedule by those allergens. So you can say, right, schedule by all the red ones first, which is, I don't know, maybe chili or seafood or shellfish or whatever it may be. And then you can group all those together and then schedule by the next one, but you'd be doing a better changeover or a clean down, a real clean down before you do the next one, so you can minimize the changeover and the clear down. We also use that, we go from different color products. So if you're going from a light product to a dark product, you don't want to be going light, dark, because you're changing, cleaning your machines down all the while. So you can do that using the color coordination on there as well. And you've also got things like product families you can do, and again, lots of other functionality that's available within the system. Right, so that's our production scheduling. So you have different kinds of production orders. You've got planned production orders, firm plan production orders, and release production orders. And what they basically are, they do different things. So when we're running the MRP, just a planned production order is, this is what I think I'm going to do over the next days, weeks, months, wherever it may be. And that's basically to put a stake in the sand to say, right, I need to order the materials because I think I might be making that item then. So make sure you've got your long-running raw materials that's going to take weeks to get in, like packaging and stuff like that, is all available for when you make it. Every time you run MRP, it will delete those planned production orders and then recreate them based upon any changes happened. You then have firm planned production orders, which is normally what you're going to be making next week, where you're not really going to change it. You need to just make sure the final changes are there. And then you have release production orders. These are the ones that are out on the production line, and these are the ones that then fill into our what's called our shop floor data capture screen. So these are tablets that fit on the shop floor for managing what you're doing and capturing the actuals out on the shop floor. This is an add-on that we do. We've got two different versions of this. We've got this is a web version, and we also, for other companies, we have power apps that we create specifically. So I don't know if anyone's ever heard of Gressingham. We create power apps for those guys and other kind of companies where it's a very specific job they want to do rather than a generic job. But what this is doing basically, it's showing me all my different production orders on each individual work center. So if I see here, I've got all my different work centers within the system. I can say, show me what's on my, in this case, my butchery section. I can say that's the production order I want to look at, or the one I want to start. I log on who I am. You can actually use barcodes on tags there, and this then gives me information, again, customized information about what I'm going to be running on this particular job. I can then start the job. I can view what components. I can issue materials. When the job started, it's recording exactly how much time you got on there. So if you have multiple operators, I can say, actually, I'm now going to add John as well, and I'm going to add Paul, and I'm also going to add Ryan. So what's capturing now is multiple operators on this job. So it's capturing the actual cost of these multiple operators against this particular production order. And then when I stop the job, and then I say, right, this is now production order is complete, it will then take all that cost that have accrued at that point and then go on to the next operation. So in the next operation, then it's saying, right, what are you going to do next? So I'm going to go back to my next production order. Hopefully I've got a pre-cook. No, where else have I got something? Production line 1. Have I got, there you go, got into production line 1. Click next. And when we start this one now, inside the system, I'm going to do that one there. I can now go on to the next operation. So maybe the setup is like clean the machine, doing whatever you want to do. I'm going to start this particular job now. We've got things on here that are also quite useful. So you've got notes. So these are like products notes. So this is how you make this particular product. So you create your technical people can keep control of the documents that are out on the shop floor because they're always real time on screen. We can also take notes of particular things that have happened within the system if we wanted to. So the machine went down for a particular time, wherever it may be. All these kind of things there. We can also do byproducts. So as you're outputting new product, you may have byproducts that can offset the cost or not offset the cost. You can do scrap, you can do rework, all sorts of things you can do inside the system to actually keep track of the actual costs of production. Standard Business Central doesn't do actual cost other than you creating journals within the system, but this is something we create to actually capture what's really going on out on the factory. Some customers do also integrate directly into their machines, but again, that is really determined by what machines you have, how new they are, and what information we can get there. So something like Costa Coffee, we talk directly to their roasting machines. So we don't have to do any of this because the roasting machines are doing everything that they do there. But again, everything is possible. One great thing about Microsoft is the information. It's really open. You can pretty much talk to anything within the system.
There's a big refresh of that as well, Darren, of the MES platform this autumn.
Yep.
That interface is looking a bit dated now. It's functional, but there's a big refresh from our app. That's our app, and that will be coming round about November. We'll get the first, be able to showcase it a little bit, but it should be good to go.
Brilliant, great stuff. Right, last few bits I'm going to close. We're going to run slightly over, so I do apologise on that. But I'm going to just show you vendors. So there's a bit of information about vendors. So in our system, vendors are very similar to customers, but we've got things like vendor compliance. So if a vendor has to have a certain document before you can deal with them, so Tesco say to do this, they have to have a red tractor certification or a vegan certification or wherever it may be, the system can actually track all those certifications for you to make sure that their certifications are always up to date, and if it expires, it will stop you ordering from them until their certs are back up. You've got non-conformances, supply non-conformances. You can ask concessions inside there again. So we've got the same sort of quality rules that we've got for customers, but inside the system. Okay. We've also got things like landed costs within the system. So we talked about costs earlier. It's important to know exactly what the costs of your raw materials are that are going into the product. So our landed cost module allows it. Again, this is done standard to Business Central. So Standard Business Central has the ability to have additional costs, but it won't create accruals for it, and it doesn't change certain things. So it's not quite as good as the landed cost module. So sometimes you need it, sometimes you don't, depends on how your importing is. But our landed cost module will allow you to create a template, say, this is the stuff I'm going to buy some chicken from Thailand maybe, and I'm going to have, this is my cost of my raw material, these are the cost of the demurrage, this is my transport cost, this is my tax, this is the, so you have all this template ready for all these costs. So as soon as you raise a purchase order, the system will create an accrual for all those materials, and then to the individual purchase or invoices come in for those goods, the actual cost will be put inside the system. So it manages that landed cost a little bit for you, so your costs of your finished goods are a lot more accurate. And then the last few things I'm going to talk about is I'm going to talk about the locations, because it's quite an important thing. I'll show you locations. So locations, so when you put in full warehouse management in, it's good to know that Business Central has got a lot of functionality that can help you manage all that. So for example, every location we have inside Business Central can be a building, can be a particular separate site. It can just be a different part of the warehouse if you want to. There's different rules for setting them up. You can also have things like, I want to have a look at the layout. So you can build a drawing of the layout so you know exactly how your warehouse looks and what zones are there, warehouse racking, what the racking is and things like that. So when you're then doing your picking, the system can do flow picking a little bit better, and it knows what is on the left-hand side of the aisle, what's on the right-hand side of the aisle. So if it's sending you to put some stuff away or to pick some stuff, it doesn't send you down one aisle, not knowing that the product you're next going to pick is on the opposite side of the aisle for you. So it basically optimizes your picking. And you've got things like heat maps with our clever WMS Plus to show you where you need to be looking at changing your pick faces and all that kind of stuff. So we've got quite a sophisticated warehouse management system. You can have zones, racks, bins, everything within the system just to manage the whole of your warehouse management activities. Again, that goes through to the handheld device. We showed you a screenshot earlier. I think that's going to rework at the moment as well, isn't it, Liam? The handheld device.
Yeah, that's always been refreshed. I think the handheld stuff's always been slightly tweaked, but not quite as big as the MES one.
Okay. So really, the last two things I'm going to show you is very quickly I'm going to show you sustainability, because we are right over our time now. Sustainability. So there's a lot of functionality that's coming with sustainability from Microsoft. They're constantly changing this. But again, if you go into the sustainability setup, you can see where we can set up all the different areas, what the costs are for your carbon charges and things like this. So it's managing all of that within the system. So every time you're shipping items, buying items, moving stuff, it's keeping track of all those for you. So when the government does put the legislation in to say you must report on your carbon footprint for sustainability purposes, it will all be available to you. So it'll be little work. So that makes our life a lot easier. And the final thing I'm going to do, I'm going to show you some of the additional quality stuff. And to do that, actually, I'm going to log in as a quality user. So I'm going to log into my system. I'm going to change the business user type to be quality. So these are all the different kind of users that we have within the system, and each one of them will have a different role. If I can see quality, I've got quality tester there. That'll be okay. Hopefully I'm a quality tester, so it won't say I can't do anything. So when I log into the system, my dashboard changes to represent what a quality user would do on the system. And now we can see my dashboard's changed now, so it's all about quality orders, quality tests, vendor compliance, non-conformances and things like that. So it's a different dashboard based upon different things there. We can see now we've got things like quality orders. So quality order is where I'm going to do a particular test on an item at anything. So the kind of things we can do is goods in checks. We can do two-stage goods in checks. So, for example, a lorry arrives. Before you drop anything, you do 3 average temperature checks on the lorry. Is the lorry dirty? Is there any sign of vermin infection? If that passes, you can then drop the load, and the system will then trigger a second quality, which is actually on the products that you're offloading the lorry. So the first one's on the lorry, the second one's on the actual products. You can do in-process inspections. You can do every hour inspections. You can do start of day checks, glass checks, dispatch checks, all sorts of things you can do to make the system work for the way you want to work. So instead of having a separate quality system, it's all integrated into Business Central. And whether you go onto any batch or any lot number that you've got within the system, it will tell you all the quality checks that have happened to that particular lot, any photographs that are part of it, where it came from as well inside the system. So there's a lot of extra functionality we can do within the system there. I'm going to open it up for questions now, so I'll hopefully answer any questions that anyone might have on anything. Try and test me. Anything there, Liam?
No questions in the chat yet, Darren, so...
while we're waiting for people to ask questions, I will show things like transport routes. Again, I haven't had a chance to this. Again, this is relevant if you've got different kind of transport. You can set up different kind of transport routes within the system.
Guys, you have to share your screen again. Sorry, I thought you were finished. I just re-put the PowerPoint back.
Sorry. Bear with me. Bum. So transport routes within the system, you can set up different routes for the vehicles and the drops that you're going to do. If I go into any particular route, I can do a map of where I'm going to do. I can show my route map. I can do my drops. You can also do automation of the route, any routes that you're doing. So whenever you're saying I'm setting up a route for my Northwest run, where I've got 20 different customers on my run, as you're adding the orders to the system from your customers, it will add them into the drop order. And at the end of the day, it will allow you to create those routes. It will allow you to juggle the routes, to change them around, and then allow you to pick all those routes and everything that you're going to do to actually manage that run. It manages your vehicles, your weights, your dimensions. We also integrate with a product called Podfather, so you can final mile delivery, where it will send you notifications to your customers that you're next on the list, the driver's 5 minutes away. All that kind of functionality is also available. That's an add-on that we've done for Business Central again. Did any questions come up while I was doing that?
No, there's not. But thanks, Darren, for running through that demo. I appreciate it. I know it's a lot to squeeze in, and I guess from our point of view, just wanted to just wrap up very, very quickly. If anyone does have questions, feel free to either unmute or to pop them in the chat. Just the way we would normally progress an engagement like this, I'm just getting to the right slide, but is normally we would come out and understand a little bit more about your your challenges, specifically to you. Everyone is slightly different. We've gone very high level very quickly, and some stuff won't be relevant to everybody. But normally we'd come out, that's just all free. We come, we have a discovery with you, understand a little bit more about it, and then would create a tailored demo to show you how the solution can help. But if you're not ready for that and you just are interested in maybe seeing a little bit more in depth around Business Central, we've got a bunch of events coming up in the next few weeks. We're out in Dublin at Microsoft on just over a week tomorrow, 1st of October. We're in Glasgow on the 14th of October, and then we're back here at Wolverhampton on the 16th. So that's about a 2.5 hour session with a break, with some food. We'd love anyone who wants to see more of Business Central come, have conversations with Darren, Tony, Adele will be at those events from Techman, as well as some more people from a pre-sale. We'll show a little bit more around CRM, a more end-to-end journey about how you find the business, sell and produce the orders that have come through, and then an after-sales side as well. So that's something we've got to do. This has been recorded. I know someone's got an AI tool just taking notes. That's fine, but the session will be recorded. We take out obviously names of anyone that has attended, so just to comply with all the GDPR, but we will have the recording out if you want to review it. But any questions you have, feel free to reach out to anybody at Techman who you got your invitation from, or from any of us that are on the call now. Everything I've spoken about is free. We don't charge to come out and demo. We don't charge for you to come to the road shows. That's something we see as our investment. You may find in some of our communications that go out, I hope we can get something from Microsoft just to say you attended. If that does come through, we really appreciate you just saying that you did attend, because it allows Microsoft to help support us in certain areas to come and do the free discoveries with people that have sat through these events. It helps, but that may or may not come out. But we'll get some information out to you around what we've done. We're always interested in what's important to you. So if I could ask one final thing before we log off. I can see there's still about 18, 19 people left. I've just put a little poll on the screen. If you could maybe just drag what your operational challenges are. There's 5 or 6 options on there. We're keen just to see, are we hitting the right spot with this? A little bit of feedback. What is important to you? What was one of those trigger points that brought you here? You can just drag up and down, whether it's financial reporting, supply chain, etc. There's no names recorded on that, so we're not going to come and pester you about anything along those lines, but it allows us to get a high view of what you believe are important challenges, and hopefully we can then tailor the demo going forward. But if you could do that, I'd really, really be grateful. We will be sending out info, as I said, and reaching out to you to help in any which way we can. But those roadshows are happening in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So if you can make one, it would be great to meet you in person and understand a little bit more and be able to answer any questions you have face to face. But apart from that, Darren, if you've got nothing else to add, I'll leave
the only thing I didn't do, Liam, I didn't show any reports. That's one thing I missed off my list. I didn't show any financial reports, which you just reminded me of. But the system is fully integrated into Power BI. Am I okay to share my screen briefly?
Yeah, I'm just seeing what's coming through on the thing. So yeah, if you want to, that's absolutely fine. If people are still there, the few people are logging off, but if you want to share that, I will.
Yeah, so just very quickly, the reports are all integrated with the system. So Power BI is an integrated part of the solution there. So all the reporting within the system is available within there. So it's a great tool there for actually getting the reporting and the data out, because it's a real important part of the system is being able to report on it and get the data out. I'll shut up now.
I mean, reporting is almost a topic on its own, a webinar on its own. As Darren said, we've got a lot of stuff on our YouTube channel. That's where the podcast is. That's where we have loads of our training team generate lots of videos, again, all free to consume, hopefully just guiding you to make an informed decision around the Dynamics products. So please feel free to log on to that and have a look at loads of stuff that goes up there. But look, there's a few people still there. If anybody is not comfortable unmuting themselves during the call, we'll be around for a few more minutes. But apart from that, I really appreciate your time today. I know it's the most valuable thing we've got. I hope it's been of benefit. And if we can help in any which way, feel free to reach out and we will do our best. But thank you very much. I hope you have a great rest of the day.
Thanks.